The council chamber smelled of triumph. Sweet pheromones, glimmering light patterns, satisfied hums. It was the scent of officials congratulating themselves. Kazara Knox, however, could only smell rot. She stood at the presentation podium, her research displayed behind her. The footage from Gamma 9 looped, humans dismantling Krell pirates with nothing but their bodies. Efficient, brutal, terrifying. Not a greater threat, she said carefully, but certainly not a diminished one. Second speaker Jurun Pax waved a delicate appendage, dripping contempt. Researcher Knox would have us believe these soft-bodied bipeds pose more danger now than when they carried plasma rifles. A ripple of laughter, glands flashing amusement colors. Knox fought the urge to curl her sensory stalks. Not more danger, she countered, but unchanged. You sought to neutralize them. Instead, you've simply shifted the battlefield. Humans don't require weapons to fight. They've spent millennia training their bodies as weapons. Vorlat, towering at the dais, gave a dismissive trill. One isolated pirate incident does not justify alarm. Knox stabbed her control pad. Computer, display incidents alpha through delta. The hologram shifted, more footage. A human merchant breaking a Vex thief's arm in a marketplace. A human aide choking an intoxicated Brack warrior, unconscious in a cultural center. Two human engineers repelling scavengers aboard a repair outpost. A lone human female escaping 3 Jorax hunters, leaving them writhing in the dirt. 26 documented cases in the last cycle, Knox pressed. All without weapons, all victorious. The chamber grew restless. Murmurs, chemical flutters of unease. Military coordinator Dren, a hulking Torvax with reinforced exoskeleton, leaned forward. His glowing patches flared with irritation. I refuse to believe these creatures, without armor or claws, can defeat trained warriors. No simulation could support such claims. Knox didn't hesitate. Computer, display Torvax human combat scenario A. The hologram shifted again. A Torvax model towered over a human silhouette. Red markers bloomed across the alien anatomy, joints, optical sensors, breathing slits. 17 critical vulnerabilities, Knox explained. Human strikes can rupture joint capsules. Throws can exploit your top-heavy balance. Your species' greatest strength, size becomes its weakness. The chamber fell silent for a heartbeat. Then Dren roared, bioluminescent fury flaring across his chest. No soft-fleshed primate could bring down a Torvax warrior. Perhaps a demonstration, Knox began. Enough, Vorlat slammed the resonance plate. The chamber vibrated with authority. This council will not entertain spectacles of physical confrontation. Researcher Knox, your findings are noted but unnecessary. Integration proceeds smoothly. The weapons ban stands. Knox's hearts pounded. They were blind and smug. Then Director Sefloon of the Cultural Division, a willowy Nathian whose skin shimmered in calming hues, rose. Perhaps we should not dismiss the researchers' data outright. A cultural exchange is scheduled on Nexus Station. We could add a martial exhibition. Let the humans demonstrate their arts. Controlled, harmless. It may ease tensions. Vorlat tilted his head, patronizing agreement. Yes, let them dance for us. It will prove they are harmless curiosities. The chamber rippled with relief. Knox swallowed her frustration. It was better than nothing, barely. She would attend, and she would see. Nexus Station. The station was a glittering wheel against the void, its vast ring spinning to provide gravity. Inside, it buzzed with preparation, hundreds of species arriving for the grand cultural exchange. Displays of art, music, cuisine, technology, and now, thanks to Knox, combat demonstrations. She arrived early, credentials granting her access to the human preparation wing. A voice called her name. Researcher Knox, yes. She turned. A human male approached, tall, dark-skinned, clean-shaven head. His simple gray attire gave no rank, yet he carried himself with confidence. His eyes, sharp and assessing, unsettled her. Marcus Bailey, he said, extending his hand. Earth's cultural attaché for martial arts. Knox hesitated, then clasped his hand. The grip was firm, deliberate, controlled strength. You are the Council's human biologist, correct? I am, Knox admitted. Bailey smiled, not predatory, but knowing. Then you already understand what most here refuse to. Knox's danger receptors pulsed. The human team. Bailey led her into the human training chamber. 8 specialists stretched, sparred, moved with impossible grace. A compact woman demonstrated judo, throwing a partner twice her size. A wiry man snapped through taekwondo kicks, cracking the air. A quiet youth moved through fluid Wing Chun forms, redirecting strikes with ghost-like precision. A massive man, hands like forged iron, practiced grappling throws with terrifying ease. Knox's membranes quivered. This wasn't performance, this was efficiency. These are just 8, Bailey explained casually. Thousands exist, each one built to solve a different problem. Armed enemies, larger enemies, many enemies. Do all humans learn these? Knox asked. Bailey chuckled. No, most don't, but the knowledge is there, and when needed, we adapt. His smile sharpened. We always adapt. The demonstration. The arena filled with representatives from dozens of species. The format was simple. Each culture displayed their martial traditions, followed by sparring. The Zenturi danced with ritual blades, beautiful, stylized, but ceremonial. The Dracs grappled, relying on brute size. The Vididarians twirled shock staves in precise, artistic patterns. Then came the humans. First, synchronized forms, rows of humans moving in unison, strikes, blocks, kicks flowing like a storm. Then individual feats, judo throws, boards shattered with kicks, blades stripped from attackers' hands. The crowd murmured, first curious, then uneasy. Finally, the sparring. Master Victor Novik of Earth, the announcer called, versus War Chief Gratter of the Drax Confederation. The Drax towered over Novik, 3 meters of muscle and armor plates. The human looked small, ordinary. At the signal, Gratter lunged, massive arms grasping. Novik slipped aside, locked a limb, and with fluid precision used the alien's momentum. The giant crashed onto the mat, rattling the arena. Silence. Gratter roared, charging again. Novik flowed behind him, wrapping thick arms around the alien's throat in a chokehold. 4 seconds later, the war chief collapsed to his knees, gasping. The silence deepened. The announcer's voice quavered. A demonstration of technique. Thank you, participants. The crowd shifted uneasily. Amusement had turned to shock. Match after match, the humans held back and still dominated. A Varian shockstaff master thrown down effortlessly. A Zenturi blade dancer disarmed mid-spin. Even a floating hoplick dropped from the air by a perfectly timed strike. By the end, the chamber no longer smelled of curiosity. It smelled of fear. Part 2 cliffhanger. After the event, Knox slipped through the crowd. She caught Bailey watching her from across the arena. He nodded once, his gaze steady. He knew exactly what had happened. The council had wanted a harmless display. Instead, they had revealed the truth. Humans weren't curiosities. They were predators in plain sight. And they hadn't even tried. The canyon roared. Whole dunes of glass and salt slid like liquid light, each grain shrieking against its neighbor. The sound was unbearable, half music, half weapon. Buildings groaned. Balconies sheared off and plunged. The Veil squad scattered to the hall's edges, rifles clutched but useless in the quake. Sarek alone stood in the spiral floor, cloak gone, carapace catching fractured light. He was motionless, eyes like obsidian. He did not blink. Liana's teeth rattled. Her little speakers squealed feedback. She slammed them off, heart pounding. The boneworks vibrated like a struck bell. Mara clung to the cracked drum, eyes wild. Thren crouched low, hands splayed against the carvings as if pleading with the stone. "Admiral," shouted one of Sarek's lieutenants, "the garrison is collapsing." Sarek ignored him. He stared at Liana. "You woke the desert," he said. "How?" "It was already awake," Liana shouted over the quake. "We just reminded it." He tilted his head, mandibles clicked once. Useful, dangerous. Another avalanche thundered down, swallowing a line of silver gunships parked on the terrace below. Soldiers screamed, cut off mid-breath as the dunes poured over them like molten glass. Myra grabbed Liana's arm. "We have to run now." "No," Sarek said sharply, his voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "You will come with me, you will explain this." 2 soldiers, half sinking in the vibrating floor, tried to obey, but the resonance trapped their armor. Their crystalline lattice sang back at the dunes, locking their joints. One howled as his rifle shattered in his grip. Thren's frills quivered, caught between terror and awe. The desert is choosing, they whispered. Sarek turned to Liana again, stepping closer. Dust fell around him, glowing in the fractured light. I can protect you from my fleet, he said, but only if you show me how to control this. Control, Liana spat. You can't control a planet's voice, you can only listen. He leaned close, voice low, intimate despite the ruin. Then teach me to listen. Mara shoved herself between them, fury raw in her face. You'll use her, twist this into another Dominion weapon. If I fall, Sarek said calmly, High Command will flatten this world by orbit. If I live, I may stall them. Choose. The ledge above the boneworks cracked. Whole sections of cliff tumbled, dust choking the air. The choice pressed in as hard as the quake itself. Thren's voice cut through the roar. Go with him, they said, trembling. Stall him, we will move the people. Liana's chest ached. She wanted to refuse, to cling to her friends, to spit in Sarek's face. But she knew storms. Sometimes the only job was to hold the line long enough for others to escape. She nodded once to Mara, once to Thren, and stepped towards Sarek. Fine, she said, but my way. Sarek's mandibles twitched approval or calculation. Your way, he agreed. A new sound tore the air. Not dunes, not stone. Engines. Shadows rolled across the canyon, Dominion capital ships descending through the clouds, their gravity wells making the very desert shriek in pain. The sky split open. Dominion capital ships fell through the clouds in wedges of steel, each one dragging a gravity well that made the dunes groan like wounded animals. Their shadows swallowed the terraces, and even the boneworks' ancient ribs trembled. Mara swore under her breath. They're not here to contain this, they're here to bury it. Liana's chest tightened. She had felt storms before, had learned the sound when a levee gave way. This was that same sound on a planetary scale, inevitability. Sarek stood unflinching on the cracked spiral, black carapace catching the half-light. The fleet comes, he said. If they fire, the city dies. If they anchor, the dunes will collapse. His voice was steady, but his mandibles worked once uncertain. Thren pressed both pairs of eyes shut, hands braced on the floor. The desert cannot hold against their wells. It will sing itself to pieces. Then give it another song, Liana snapped. She pointed at the carved ribs overhead. This hall was built to focus voices, to make a people louder than stone, if we can pull the dunes into harmony. Mara gaped. You want to conduct a planet. Not conduct, Liana said. Her hands shook, but her voice stayed sharp. Invite. The soldiers ringed them, rifles buzzing. Sarek gestured them to hold. His gaze stayed locked on Liana. Show me. She turned to Thren. Can your people still sing the old lines? Thren's frills lifted, trembling. We remember, they said. We were told to forget, we did not. Then gather them, Liana said, fast. Thren touched the wall glyphs, tracing harmonic maps with reverent fingers. Their crest flared as if lit from within. A low hum left their throat, tentative, ancient. The boneworks caught it, magnified it, spun it around the chamber until dust floated like pollen. The dunes outside shifted. The avalanche slowed as if listening. Myra struck her patched drum once, twice, then found a rhythm. The human heart slowed to 72 beats per minute. The hall liked it. The dunes responded, rolling not with chaos but with pulse. Liana layered in a sine wave through her battered speaker, steady and deep, tuned to the frequency that had cracked the fountain in the square. The hall took it and fed it to the desert. Sarek watched, utterly still. A faint tremor passed through his stance as the vibration touched his armor. He clenched his claws. It resonates. Because you built your armor to sing, Liana said. You just never asked what song it wanted. The first capital ship reached low orbit. Its anchors flared, gravity wells opening. The desert screamed like glass under a hammer. Cracks leapt across the terraces. Thren cried out, voice cracking. Too strong. Then more voices, Liana urged. She leaned into the command deck mic Sarek carried, flipping it to broadcast. People of Kithra, she shouted, her words raw, carried on Dominion channels. Your world is crying, sing with it, now. From the terraces came replies, thin, terrified at first. Jevar women humming broken scales, old men calling half-forgotten chants, children shrieking tuneless but earnest. The boneworks pulled it all inside and shaped it, weaving chaos into a chord. The dunes steadied. The avalanche slowed into a rolling tide that matched the beat of Mara's drum. Sarek's mandibles clicked shut. For a moment, something like awe flickered in his obsidian eyes. Then his comm crackled with a sharp, cold voice. Admiral Sarek, this is High Command. You will silence the disturbance. Deploy hush arrays, commence sterilization. Mara froze, Thren's frills collapsed in despair. Liana stared at Sarek. He had 10 seconds to decide. The command deck stank of heat and fear. Sirens wailed from every console as the capital ships braced over Vezat, their anchors gnawing at the dunes. Sarek stood in the center like a stone in floodwater, his mandibles drawn tight. He had just defied High Command. Every officer on the deck stared, some in horror, some in disbelief. A few, Liana thought, in something closer to hope. Admiral, rasped Officer Deem, Sarek's second, High Command will burn us for this. They ordered sterilization. And I ordered survival, Sarek said. His voice was iron. Hold the arrays. Liana swallowed hard. This was her moment. She slid to a free console, patched in her battered player with trembling fingers, and fed it through Dominion systems that snarled at the human jack before yielding. Listen, she said. From the deck speakers, a hum unspooled, field recordings she'd captured of the morning dunes layered under a human contralto, warm as smoke. The Boneworks, live feed joined, Thren's choir building like surf. Mara's drum rolled steady beneath. The command deck itself vibrated, consoles rattling in sympathy. The Dominion officers shifted uneasily. Their tattoos flickered, their armor chimed. Physics doesn't care about your orders, Liana said, her voice low but carrying. It only cares about what you let resonate. Sarek's mandibles flexed once, then he made a decision. Flagship Trident, he barked into the comm. Convert gravity anchors into harmonic sinks, accept incoming resonance, map to these coordinates. He flicked data from Liana's console to the fleet. The comm sputtered with disbelief. Sir, that will overload. On my mark, Sarek snapped. Deem paled. Admiral, we've never. On my mark. The bridge hushed. Only the song remained, filling the air like light through water. Liana leaned toward the mic, voice trembling. Thren, can you hear me? Static, then Thren's voice, ragged but alive. We hear, the people are here. Behind them, 100 Jevar voices wove in raw harmony. Hold at 60 hertz, Liana said. Build the chords round, no edges. Give the desert a place to settle. We remember, Thren whispered. Sarek glanced at her. His eyes held neither mockery nor command now. Only a question, when? Now, Liana breathed. He gave the order. Above, the anchors bloomed wide. Black wells that once gripped worlds opened like throats. The city sang into them. The dunes rolled, not as avalanche but as tide. Energy poured upward, a cathedral's worth of resonance funneled into the fleet's hungry mouths. The bonework shook but did not break. The desert scream softened, streets steadied. For one terrible, impossible moment, it worked. Then a new icon flared red across the deck display, a fresh mass tearing through fold space bigger than the rest. Sarek's mandibles froze as the ID tag resolved, Imperator's laugh, High Command's dreadnought. The dreadnought split the clouds like a blade, eclipsing half the horizon. Its wells snarled against the anchors Sarek had opened, each one a wound in the air. Every surface in the command deck thrummed with tension. The voice from Imperator's laugh rolled across the channel, cold as vacuum. Admiral Sarek, you have defied High Command. You will submit, deploy hush arrays, commence sterilization. Silence clamped down on the bridge. Officers stared, tattoos flickering with fear. One reached for the hush array toggle. Sarek's claws snapped out, halting him. No, Sarek said. His voice was steady, but his mandibles flexed tight. Belay. The comm hissed. Then you are no longer warden. You are contagion. Prepare for erasure. The dreadnought's wells flared. The dunes outside screamed like tortured crystal. Cracks spidered across the terraces. Liana slammed her palms on the console. We can't fight their fire with fire, but we can drown them in resonance. She turned to Sarek. Let me use all the voices, every band, every channel. Sarek hesitated only a fraction. Do it. She tore open Dominion frequencies, linked them with Boneworks, feeds, patched human recordings, Jevar chants, even Dominion comm static. The system stuttered, then wove it all into one impossible braid. Thren, she whispered into the mic, we need everyone. We already have them, came Thren's answer. Behind their voice, the sound of thousands filled the hall, Jevar choirs, children shrieking tuneless defiance, elders humming old scales, Mara's drum booming like a second heartbeat. The boneworks poured it into the desert. The dunes answered, rising not in chaos but in chorus. The whole planet had become an instrument. The dreadnought hesitated. Its wells shook as the resonance touched them. Alarms flared across the Dominion fleet. Impossible, an officer gasped. They're destabilizing quantum anchors with noise. Not noise, Liana said, her eyes burned. Coherence. Sarek's gaze locked on hers. Can you break them? No, she said, but I can make them listen. She raised her hand, and every voice on Kithra shifted together up by a semitone. Imperfect, ragged, but together. The chord beat with difference, became a rhythm no algorithm could smooth. The dreadnought's hull rang like a bell. Fractures crawled across its plating. Its commander barked orders, but their voice was drowned in the living storm of sound. Liana leaned close to the mic, whispering as if to the ship itself. This isn't a weapon, it's a welcome. You can fight it or you can join. For the first time, Sarek's face showed something more than command, something that looked like awe.